the biggest criticism.
Mr. Speaker.
Barbara Kerrigan.
Mr. Speaker, it's a pleasure to stand up here on the anniversary of, with 4 days to go, as Mr. English said before. It's been a very, very productive year for the national government. And I think that the biggest thing that I have came out of this year with heart is that this is a government that really has heart for provincial New Zealand. When I came in here, one of the things that I wondered was that, how much of what goes on out there is really, really well understood in Wellington. And I have to say, I'm going back to my electorate the whole time and saying to people, actually, this is a government that does understand provincial New Zealand. And I think there's two things that I went into this year that I thought I'm just going to do a deeper dive with, because they were things out there in the community that were concerning me. And one of them was the area of family violence, and the other one was rural mental health. Now, just recently, under national government, through Minister Amy Adams, a consultation document has been launched, and I've been really impressed with the process around this consultation document. What the Minister did is she actually sent us out to consult with some of our groups. I've been working very, very closely with the Maniapoto Family Violence Group in Tikawiti, who are also doing some work in Otrahonga, and they actually had the opportunity to feed back to the Minister in the process of making this, putting this consultation document together. And so from that, the consultation document is now out, and it was a real pleasure to go and sit with them recently and say to them, here's the document, you've had some input into preparing this document, and now you can actually have some feedback, and we'll get this in the right place, because my belief is that 80 to 90% of the good ideas actually come out of our communities. They don't come out of Wellington, and I'm really pleased that our national government is listening to the communities. The other thing that, on the mental health side, it's just so rewarding to see another $500,000 going into rural mental health, getting people trained up to go out there to understand, to find people who are not feeling great and find methods and ways of helping them. All the support services are out there, it's just that people don't stand up and ask to be helped, often in those situations where they feel a bit embarrassed or they feel that there's a stigma around that. So I'm really pleased to see that there's troops on the ground now working on that mental health. I'm also very pleased to see that in a year that's been a bit dark for the dairy industry, that we've now had 3 auctions that have gone up, and so there's just a shout out for my industry. On the Health Committee, which is one that I enjoy very much, we work very collegially together, and we have some well-documented gains under health. We now have free GP visits for children under 13, which is really appreciated by families in the community. We're delivering more elective surgeries, and that's increased by an average of 4,000 elective surgeries a year. And I think this is really commendable from a government. When this government took over, women were going to Australia to have their breast cancer treatments, and so I think this is great. The other thing is that we're opening up legislation around nurse practitioners, and that's a really good move, opening up that legislation so that nurse practitioners who have the training and education and skills to carry out certain tasks will now, after the legislation goes through, under the law, be able to carry out those certain tasks. And more money's gone in also to train more nurse practitioners, because that's going to be a way of getting more services out into our provincial communities. I've also had the pleasure of being on the mobile surgical bus. It's a great bus, and the Minister has now committed to more funding for that going forward. So, some of it's about people, some of it is also about our conservation projects, and it's really great to see that we're doing some great work there in terms of the battle of the birds. Some of the rat and stoat numbers in some of our communities have dropped down very close to undetectable numbers in some areas where we've been working very hard on that one. So all in all, I am very proud to be standing here and looking back on a first year where there's a huge amount of work being done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.